Check, 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 check. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? How we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, the Keynote Luncheon will resume shortly. Today's luncheon is sponsored by our gold sponsors. Besser, Bic Boom Trucks, Crisso, EJ, Hill & Griffith Company, Irving Equipment, MA Industries, Madison Steel, Max USA, Old Castle Infrastructure, Schluchelbauer North America, and Top Work America. In addition, the receptions in the exhibit hall are supported by our platinum sponsors: Affinitas, Concrete Sealants, Dayton Superior, Hamilton Form, Strong Products, and Titan 3000 Precast Management System. We could not have hosted the annual convention without their support, so please give our sponsors a big round of applause. And now, please welcome to the stage the President and CEO of the NPCA, Nick Rode.
Good afternoon. What's happening, NPCA? Hey, I just want to take a minute to thank all of our exhibitors here at convention. Your investment in our industry makes all of this possible. So if you're an exhibitor, stand up. Let's be recognized. There we go. So it's really exciting to take a minute here to introduce today's keynote speaker. And I'm real excited, and I'm going to get his name right because he told me how to pronounce it, James Rabalata. And so I introduce a lot of people, and I try to practice their names. And so I go up to James before we started, and he's like, here's the key to saying my last name right. Just think, I rob a lot of banks. So I know I got it right because I remember the cue from him. He is a professional speaker, leadership author, and an improv comedian. James says that he's led a bunch of teams, moved a bunch of decimal places, and changed a bunch of lives. But that's all Googleable, so here's some more interesting facts about him. His hometown is Sayville, New York, and it was voted America's most friendliest town in 1994. He is that guy on a plane who's going to talk to you even if you're wearing your headphones, Bill. And he has a hysterical and vulnerable interviews on his podcast, Diner Talks with James. Here's another fun fact. At his senior prom, guy dislocated his right knee dancing to Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. So join me in welcoming James. Cannot wait to hear what he has to share with us today.
Thank you, man. MPCA, what's going on, friends? How we doing? Let's go. Thank you for having me. I don't think you had a choice, but thank you for having me. I'm really pumped to be here. I know right now I'm just some random attractive man talking to you. I feel like we should get to know each other a little bit more, though, and I feel like a natural place to start is to tell you how I eat pancakes. This makes sense, right, sir? Great, man. Well, I'm calling you again. You nailed it. Here's how I eat pancakes. First off, you can get out of my face with a short stack of pancakes. Does it look like I've stopped at 2 pancakes recently? Thank you. You're right. I haven't. I'm a grown man. I need 3 pancakes. And when it comes to my pancakes, I'm an equal opportunist, the same amount of butter and syrup on each one. I'm not like the Bisquick box. You've all seen the Bisquick box before. It's got the big stack of pancakes, a little yellow pat of butter up top. The syrup just delicately dripping down the sides of what? Okay. No. No, because if you eat your pancakes that way, you're cutting into a drier gradient of pancake, and that's unacceptable. I like my pancakes equally and adequately soaked with butter and syrup. Where are my people at? Who else soaks their pancakes? And there we go, fam. Okay, family, there we go. Excellent. Not every hand went up, though. Let's be inclusive. Where are my dippers at? Who breaks off a piece of pancake and then dips it in the syrup? We got a couple over here. A couple. Okay, excellent. I'm glad you're here. Any drizzlers? Just a little bit of syrup for you. We don't like a lot of syrup. We don't want to be too gluttonous. Okay, we got a couple of you out here. Great. Last but not least, do we have any dry pancake eaters? Boom, 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 boom. My friends, see what they walk among us. They walk among us, and we're grateful to hear. MPCA is an inclusive environment. Thanks for being here. Okay, great, thanks. But for me, after I get my pancakes equally and adequately soaked and stacked, what I do is I cut little triangles out all the way around, so then I have a star. Then I cut the points of the star, I have another circle. Then I cut more triangles out. It's a very geometric eating experience. And I start this way because I need you all to know from the jump, I'm a little bit weird. I'm a little weird, but it's okay. I think we're all a little weird. Sure, maybe we choose not to stand in front of a group that we desperately hope respects us and share our weirds, but alas, we all got a little something. For me, a lot of my weirds come in the form of food quirks. Eat a lot of things in interesting ways. There's a point to all this, by the way, too. Just stick with me. But I have a lot of food quirks, things that I eat in interesting ways. For example, I don't know if you remember this, but a handful of years ago, the internet came out with all these food hacks. Because apparently we've been eating normal food wrong for centuries. Thank goodness for the internet. The internet told us how we're supposed to eat bananas. Apparently we've been eating bananas wrong. Many of us grab the banana by the stalk and rip it down to peel it, but alas, you're supposed to flip it over and peel it from that other weird side. Because if you peel it from that side, there's way less strings when you peel the banana. How many of you knew this piece of information? Okay, a decent amount of you, but how many of you, this is the first time you've ever heard it? Beautiful, beautiful. For those of you with your hands up on that second one, here's what I need you to know. This is the most tangible takeaway from my talk. Okay? About 90 seconds in, your boy just peaked. Okay? It's fine. Everything's fine. The internet also told us how we're supposed to eat cupcakes. Apparently now we're supposed to rip the bottom of the cupcake off, put it on top, make a little icing sandwich. Yay! No. Here's how I eat a cupcake. I take the bottom of the cupcake off. I then take that and I launch that off a dock. And I shove the icing into my mouth. This dessert we had today was perfect. It was just icing, essentially. It was delicious. I know it's mousse. Don't get technical with me, okay? But still. But yeah, I love that. And friends, I'm just kidding. I would never waste food. I just eat the bottom of the cupcake first. But still. I have a lot of food quirks. I could keep digging myself down into this hole, but I'd rather bring you down with me. So let me see who else is weird in the room. Do any of you not like your food to touch? A good amount of you out here. Okay, excellent, right? You're trying to figure out why toddlers are the only ones with separator bowls, right? We haven't figured this out for grown adults yet? Yeah, okay, I see you. Anybody on the other side? Whenever you see a plate of food, you just mash it all together. Who does it? Where are my people who do it? Hell yeah, it's all going to look the same eventually, right? Let's go, right? I see you. Y'all are nasty. Okay, you're nasty, all right? But like good nasty. Like I'm going to hang out with you nasty, right? It's all good. I still got you, but still. Let's get a little more personal. I'm wondering, do any of you have a food pairing that you believe is delicious, but when other people watch you eat it, they wonder, what are you doing right now? Do any of you mash two random ingredients that you think go great together, but other people sometimes judge you for it? Does anybody have one? My friend, would you be willing to share yours? French fries and mayonnaise. Okay. Who else does it? Anybody else do that? We got a few. Okay. Excellent. I love that. Who else? I saw another hand up in here. Yeah, go ahead, friend. Would you share? Pickles with Parmesan cheese. There you go. I've never heard that one before. I like it. You literally pull out your dill spear, get your shaker out, boom, boom, boom. You what? Excuse me, ma'am, real Parmesan. She's like, what do I look like to you, pal, huh? Do I look like I shake my Parmesan? No, all right? Take a walk. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else have something fun that they do? What do you got right here?
Apple pie and cheddar cheese.
Apple pie and cheddar cheese. There it is. My mother, Suzanne Robillata, likes to say, an apple pie without the cheese is a kiss without the squeeze. So there you go. He's from Vermont too, so Cabot paid him to say that. But yeah, I love it. I love it. Let me end on this one. We'll just do one last one. I'm an Italian from New York, all right? How you doing? Watch your mouth, all right? Listen. Where are my New Yorkers at? We got any New Yorkers out here? Excellent, excellent. I saw some folks from Jersey. Jersey, where are you at? There we go, Jersey. Take a walk, all right? So, I'm playing. I'm glad you're here, Jersey. But I have a firm belief, which I think nowadays makes it a fact. Is that what's happening? Let's not worry about it. So, here we go. Pineapple has no place on pizza. Do you agree with? There you go. There you go. All right. How many of you vehemently disagree with me? How many of you disagree with me? Everybody look around the room. See these hands up? These people are wrong. Okay, these people are wrong. I'm just playing, friends. Put pineapple on your pizza. I'm still coming to hang out. It's all good. Pizza's a great product, right? You can get one side, I'll get the other. We can still get to play. But I love starting with these weirds. I love starting with these weirds because these weirds are little moments of connection. These little moments where we go, oh my gosh, you too? Me too. Hang on, you too? Me too. Right? We do French fries and mayonnaise over some over. Like, oh my gosh, you too? Me too. Right? And whenever we say you too, me too, our voice goes up and our shoulders go down. And a little bit more of us is allowed to show up. A little bit more of us starts to think about, hey, maybe I'll be accepted here. Hey, maybe I'm going to be okay here. Hey, maybe this is a place where I'm allowed to be me. And what a gift to give to our people. I love starting with these little questions because they seem weird, but questions lead to story. Story leads to connection. Connection leads to trust, and trust leads to loyalty. Questions lead to story. Story leads to connection. Connection leads to trust. Trust leads to loyalty, which means the foundation of building a loyal team. A team that shows up when it's going great, when it's beautiful, when they're like, heck yeah, we're crushing it. And the same team that shows up with, oh shoot, it's hard. Man, we got to figure this out. Let's stick with it. That kind of loyalty starts at curiosity. Curiosity creates community. And community in the workplace is one of the biggest drivers for why people stay put. Yes, we must pay people what they are worth. But what will keep someone in a job far longer is if they work at a place where they feel seen, heard, respected, challenged, where they feel appreciated, like their brain belongs there. They weren't just hired to do this task and we don't care anything else about them, just get it done, but a place where we welcome their whole selves. That kind of place is what people love to stick around for. That kind of place is what people stand up for, what people say, you know what, we got to figure this out. This is worth it. I'm not leaving, I'm digging in. So I love starting this way because our weirds are little moments of questions that lead to these connections and start to build this place. These are ways to start creating a tighter team. And as leaders, that's your job, right? Leaders tell stories, yes, but leaders also listen to stories. We all know the qualities that great leaders possess. And I don't know what your first taste of leadership was. Right? Maybe you were maybe you were involved in like an FFA or a 4-H club or something like that when you were growing up. Maybe you were a youth minister in a faith community. Maybe you were a varsity athlete. Maybe you were I don't know what it was for you. Or maybe you went to college, you became an RA, or you were in a fraternity or sorority. I don't know when you first tasted leadership. Or maybe in your household, whoever was supposed to be the leader was actually pretty absent, and you were the oldest sibling, and you just kind of stepped up, and you didn't call it leadership, you called it life, but looking back at it, it was leadership. I don't know when leadership first happened to you, but I know it's on-the-job training. It is on-the-job training. It's kind of like parenting in that way. My wife and I have 2 kids. We have a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So first, real quick, please send help. Okay, anybody live in Minnesota? Please help. Okay, but still, We have a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. And when when my wife was pregnant with our son, we named our son Rome. He's named a verb. The English teachers are really going to have a problem with that when he gets a little older. But yeah, R-O-A-M. But yeah, so when she was pregnant with Rome, we had all the conversations. This is our first child, so let's talk about it, right? Let's read some books. Let's follow some accounts online. Let's read some blogs or whatever, and let's have conversations about, like, what do we feel our style of discipline will be? And how do we feel about education, right? And we had those conversations that you're supposed to have as a new parent, and we got all prepped, and then the kid showed up. And then it's 3 a.m. and he wouldn't stop crying. We're looking at each other like, I don't know, you fix it. I don't know, you fix it. We don't know, right? But you instinctively know. Leadership is instinctual. You come packed with a lot of these qualities, and then these moments hone them for you. We know the qualities that great leaders possess. If I were to ask you to make a list of what qualities they possess, you'd shout out integrity, honesty. You would shout out they lead with empathy. You would say that they get the job done. They finish their tasks. They lead by example. A lot of these really beautiful qualities. But let me tell you about myself. I'm a disorganized procrastinator who's cocky around my fellow professionals. Yay! I'm disorganized. If you were to come and look at my desk, it looks like I sat a toddler on top of a stack of papers, and the kid just started going, That's my organizational style. Any type A people in the room? Where are my list makers at? Yeah, there you go. Okay, great. My people who love Microsoft Excel, right? Like everything has its place, right? Yeah, I see you. You have more highlighters than I knew existed. Yeah, that's great. That's great. We're different. We're different. I'm also procrastinator, but I think we should talk about that tomorrow. That was terrible. I'll leave, but I'm taking one of these fake plants with me. So, I'm also cocky around my fellow professionals. I got a master's degree at Clemson University. Go Tigers. And right after that, I got my first professional job ever. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't my first job ever. My first job ever, I was that guy in the driving range, driving around in the cage, picking up all the balls. That was my first job ever. But this is my first job ever. I got to run a building at a university in New York City. And I walked in on my first day, my first job ever. Like, okay, I got this. Like a cowboy into an old Western saloon. Boom. I walked in, I said, hey, feel free to the top of my diploma. It says master's degree on it. What do you need me to do? Supervise them, hold them accountable. You want me to set up this? You want me to run that? You want me to do this? Whatever, I can do it all. I'm a damn boss. Turns out all that cockiness was just to cover up my overwhelming insecurity that I wasn't going to be good at my job. But I don't think we should focus on that right now. But it's interesting, because when I have you think about the qualities that great leaders possess, you don't think about disorganized, procrastinator. You don't think about someone who's super cocky, right? These aren't the qualities that great leaders possess. And don't get me wrong, I think I have some of the other good qualities. I think I lead with a lot of empathy. I believe that I'm an exceptional listener. I think I have the power to motivate. Let me know at the end of this. But the thing is that I have these other traits that I don't shy away from with the teams that I have the opportunities to work on, because I believe if I want my teams to let me in, to hold them accountable, not only celebrate their strengths, but hold them accountable to being more than they thought they could be, to push through some of the, well, that's just the way I am, right? To push through some of that and grow. It would be hypocritical of me not to allow them to do the same in return. Because as leaders, it's not only your job to impact others' lives, it's your job to let them impact yours. But we can't get to impact unless we open ourselves up to it. That's why today we're going to talk a lot about the role that authenticity and relatability play in leadership. I think it matters a lot, particularly for some of you all who are here representing so many family-owned businesses, where sometimes it's a line that's a little bit fuzzy. And sometimes we don't always let people in when they're super close to us, which is kind of ironic. So, when I think about authentic leaders, I think about individuals who are purposeful, who own who they are, and who are real. Let's talk about being purposeful first. Because as a leader, your intent will influence your impact. In other words, the reason why you wanted this title, why you wanted this position, why you wanted this pay bump, all that kind of stuff, the reason why you wanted it often dictates what you do within the role. Perfect example of this. We have all worked alongside people who get it and don't get it. People who are in their roles for the right reasons and people who are in their roles for the wrong reasons. We've worked alongside people who get it. These sometimes are the reason why you're in seats like this, because they saw something in you before you ever saw it in you. They tapped you and saw your greatness before you saw your potential. These are the kind of individuals who, when they say they have an open door policy, they're not mad that you just walked in, right? They're here to have a conversation with you. They are willing to give you time. They're willing to meet you where you're at, not just give you a solution. They're the kind of individual, it's like, you know what, I got to ask a few more questions because I know you got this, so let me prove it to you that you got this. Instead of just being like, here, just do this. These kind of individuals get it. They make us feel appreciated. They make us feel seen. They make us feel like we can, like we should. How many of you ever worked alongside somebody who gets it? Beautiful. If you haven't, let's talk after this, okay? But also, we've also worked alongside individuals who don't get it. Somebody who we want to pull aside and be like, hey, you happy, Rick? You good, bro? Because everything about what they do doesn't show that they're having a good time. Doesn't show that they believe in what they're doing and the people around them and the way that they lead. Sure, their success may speak for itself, but success does not equate great leadership. Those can be two different things. And so these are the kind of individuals that sometimes make us feel like we're always bothering them when we have a question or a thought or we want to talk through a process. These are the kind of individuals that make us sometimes feel stupid or make us feel crazy for having a thought or having an idea. These are the kind of individuals that do things like, hey, I'm feeling this way. They respond with, oh, you should be feeling another way, instead of meeting you where you're at. So they make you feel crazy. That's called gaslighting, right? When someone comes up to you like, well, he said this to me and it made me feel this. Okay, interesting. Well, you should have taken that differently, not he should have changed his approach, right? Where are the ways that we are meeting people where they're at and understanding that their emotions are valid? I know some of that's cheesy, but it also matters because it makes people feel less crazy. I've worked alongside a leader that doesn't get it before. I was in charge of large-scale programming for an organization for a number of years, and we'd host these really huge events, and we'd have a bunch of meetings leading up to the event, and then we would do the event, and then we'd have some post-meetings just to go through assessment. What could we have done better? And the leader was involved in every single one of the pre-meetings. She was in there, often quiet, and then we would do the meeting, and then in the follow-up meeting, she would always say things like, yeah, I was wondering why you were doing it that way. Oh, yeah, no, I thought that was an interesting choice. And we're over here like, you were in the pre-meetings. Where are you at? The kind of individual who wanted to hold on to knowledge so that she could always look impressive, as opposed to sharing it so that everybody could win. Do me a favor, if you have ever worked alongside somebody who doesn't get it, raise your hand and then point at that person. And then I'm just kidding. Send me their LinkedIn. Okay, but we've worked alongside both. So here's my next question to you. Naturally, it's, which one are you? How do you make people feel? Do you make people feel like they can? Like they should? Or do you make people feel like they can't or they shouldn't? Are you generous with your knowledge? Are you generous with asking questions because great leaders ask questions in the right way because they know and trust that their people got it? Sometimes we just need to prove to them that they got it. How do you make people feel? When we think about purpose, our purpose serves as a bulldozer that pushes us through the frustrating aspects of leadership. Because leadership is annoying. Have you met people yet? People are frustrating. Leadership would be so easy if people weren't involved. But still, people are also beautiful. Revisit. Why does this matter to you? Why do you still do this? Why do you care? Why did you want this role? The opportunity to get to shape and mold what your plant does, what the organization does. Revisiting that purpose is really important because it helps you stay the course. But sometimes we get bogged down in so many other things that we forget what we're doing out here and we lose ourselves and lose our values. Authentic leaders are purposeful. Authentic leaders also own who they are. Owning who you are is the hardest thing we'll talk about today. Because owning who you are involves putting every single facet of your life in front of a mirror. And I don't know about you all, but I personally find mirrors to be horrific locations. And I'm not just talking about putting your physical appearance in front of a mirror. I'm also talking about putting your choices in front of a mirror, putting your ego, reputation, faith, friendships, relationships in front of a mirror and truly seeing it. But that's hard because mirrors don't lie. When I think about this idea of owning who we are, it's something that we're going to do for most of our lives, but there's some places where it comes up and we don't even recognize it. For example, I think the best conversations in our lives all occur after the hour of 9, 10, 11 o'clock, when we're hanging out with the friends that we never want to leave, eating the food we probably shouldn't be eating, right? You all are from all around the country. These are your late night Waffle House runs, okay? These are your diner runs in the Northeast. These are your Perkins, your Steak and Shakes, your Denny's, your In-N-Out runs, whatever it is for you, right? Going to Whataburger late at night down in Texas, a taco stand, whatever it is for you, your late night spot. For me and my friends, sometimes we roll out to Applebee's for half-price appetizers because we got it like that, okay? It's also the neighborhood restaurant. But we roll out to Applebee's and there's always one friend that starts a conversation with something like, yo, bro, you'll never believe what happened to me last week. And he shares an embarrassing story about himself. What we don't recognize is that when we share embarrassing stories about ourselves, it helps us own a little bit of who we are. So my friends, here's what I want you to do. In a second, I want you to turn to somebody at your table and share an embarrassing story about yourself. What's a time where you slipped and fell in public? What's a time where you maybe sent that text to the wrong person? What's a time where you realized you were unmuted on a video call or something like that? What's a time where you ripped your pants not on purpose? You all share some stories with each other. When you come back, I'll share one with you. Ready, set, go. Go Yankees. Go Jacket. Give you all one more minute. One more minute. All right, let's bring it back. All right, everybody clap your hands. Come on now. Hey, hello, can you go? Okay, no, not yet? Okay, all right. Maybe a little later? Okay. How many of you just learned something new about someone around you? Amazing, amazing. Here's what I need you to do, okay? Number one, I need you to not be a jerk. Because here's what jerks do. Jerks turn around and tell that story immediately to somebody else. What I need you to be is a good friend. Good friends hold on to that story. And in 3 to 5 years, they bring it up again publicly. Okay? So be a good friend. You all shared an embarrassing story. It's only fair that I share one with you all. As you heard, at my senior prom, I dislocated my right knee dancing to Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. What you didn't hear is that happened during dinner. Friends, I don't know who the DJ was at my senior prom, but dude was dropping straight fire all night. And normally at things like weddings and proms and things like that, fancy meals, they'll slow it down during dinner. They'll play like some smooth jazz or some Billy Joel or something, right? Yeah, no. My DJ just kept coming with the bangers. So me and my friends were like, if he's going to get the dance floor hot, we got to make sure it doesn't get chilly. A sense of duty. So we got out there, acting like idiots. At one point in time, Shania Twain comes on. And if you know the song, you know the rule. One must either go hard or one must go home. So I said, let's go, girls. And we got out there. So I'm jumping around like a fool. At one point, I jump onto my right leg. My knee blows out. I fall to the ground, wound up having to pop my own knee back in. I then proceed to drag myself to the side of the dance floor. My principal rushes over to me and hands me 3 ice cubes. To this day, I don't know if those are for my glass of water or my inflammation, but either way, it was very sweet. It was very sweet. The boys wound up dragging me over to the side. We sat down. We elevated the leg. They handed me some chicken parmesan. So I cried into some chicken parmesan, okay? I asked Lily Frank, my date, I said, Lily, can we still slow dance? And she said, of course, because Lily's a good person. What that slow dance actually looked like was just her pivoting me around on my one good leg, because at that point, my knee had swelled up to the size of my quadricep. They played the song later in the night, Just Bust a Move. You remember this track? You want it, and you got it. Only everybody at my senior prom was like, hey, just bust a knee. That is disrespectful. And the story's 100% true. We all have embarrassing stories. It's fun when we share them because they remind us that we are resilient. We have to be reminded as leaders that we are resilient, that we can do hard things, we can get through hard times. A friend of mine, Daryl Bellamy, likes to remind me that you have survived 100% of your bad days so far. We are resilient. Leaders are resilient. I also love sharing these embarrassing stories because they help us own a little bit of who we are. But now I'm that person during these late night conversations is always like, oh my gosh, we're having so much fun. Now let's have a deep conversation. And there's a question that I ask my friends that I'll ask you right now as leaders that goes a little bit deeper into the idea of owning who you are. It's a simple question. What's one lie you tell yourself every single day? No, I'm not talking about, I'm going to go to the gym. Right? I'm not talking about, I think I'll try gentle parenting, right? I'm not talking about I'm not talking about when I go to Target, I'm just going to buy one thing. I'm not talking about today I will eat the serving size of Girl Scout cookies. Not those lies. I'm talking about the deeper ones. The deeper ones that we all have. For example, a lie that I'm telling you right now, I don't know if you noticed, but your boy looking pretty fresh up here, you know what I'm saying? Got a little purple and blue going on, matching J's. Okay, James, I'll see you, bro. Hair looking good, dude. But what you didn't know is that this is a shell I needed to put on because of my twisted brain. If I didn't look fresh, I think you'd be more focused on how unattractive I am than on my message because I have a low self-esteem about my physical appearance. So I needed to put this shell on today because I needed to win. Because every single day when we wake up, we need to win. So if we need to lie to ourselves a little bit that day to win, I think it's okay. I think that's called being a human being, and we're allowed to be one of those. A lot of us live sometimes by the code of fake it till you make it, but let's have a moment of honesty. If all you ever do is fake it, you never really make it. And so we have to start owning some of the things that we are going through. I don't know what lies you tell yourself. Maybe they sometimes sound like things I tell myself, right? Well, I'm not smart enough. I'm not funny enough. I'm not successful enough. I don't have enough experience. I'm not a good enough dad. I'm not a good enough partner. I'm not a good enough this. Or sometimes we compare ourselves to other people, talking about like, oh, look what he's doing, I should. Look what she's doing, I should. Look what they're doing, I should. Oh, I should, oh, I should, oh, I should. A lot of us are out here shooting on ourselves, right? For sure. But every single one of these lies is a different brick that you carry, and we owe it to ourselves to live a lighter life. Because you are, whether consciously, probably more subconsciously, you are leading through your lies. You are holding people accountable to things that you wish you held yourself accountable to. The way that we lead is often a direct result of how we sometimes feel about ourselves. And so that's why we owe it to the folks around us and also to us to put in a little bit of work. You are generous folks. What you do for your communities is incredible. I've had the privilege of meeting a whole bunch of you today. It is incredible. What I should not tell you right now is that when I went on the plant tour this morning, it took me at least half of that long bus ride to figure out how to put the hard hat together. But I damn sure wasn't asking for help, which is ironic, because a lie that most people frequently tell themselves is, I don't need to ask for help. I got myself into it. I need to be the one who gets myself out of it. Or I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to be a burden to other people. Or I don't want to be seen as this or that. But this is a lie that we tell ourselves. And let's have another moment of honesty. If you go through life and you never ask for help, you don't get buried in sexier dirt. Right? You don't get a more bedazzled urn. The stairs that go up to where you think the stairs go up to aren't extra gilded because you did it on your own. There's no bonus points. And as leaders, sometimes we put this pressure on ourselves of, I should be the one who has the answers. I should be the one who has it all together. I must be the rock of this organization. And we put so much pressure on ourselves that we start to lead inauthentically. We start to lead not as ourselves. We start to model this idea of, you must be strong, you must figure it out, you must not ask for help. When in fact, it would actually increase efficiency and productivity sometimes if somebody did ask for help. If someone did reach out and be like, hey, this part's confusing to me. Can you help me out really quick so that I can do it faster, better, stronger, whatever it might be? What are you modeling for your people because of your inability to sometimes get out of your own way? This is especially hard sometimes in family-owned businesses where pride is stapled to your success. And sometimes we don't let people in. Sometimes we always see our children as our children. And their ideas will just never be good enough because you still see them as that little kid who wanted to name the dog Pizza. Right? It's like, no, you've had terrible ideas since birth. Why would I let you do anything right now? When in fact, You also passed your brilliance on to them. But your inability sometimes to see your brilliance doesn't allow you to see it in them. Some of these stories we tell ourselves impact our ability to lead and grow cool teams, which is why we have to do the work and own some of those things so that we can be real to other people. Being real to other people is powerful. When we lead more relatably, it creates a stronger sense of team, because when we see ourselves in someone else, we believe that we can. Which means great leaders need to often ask themselves, what version of myself do I allow others to see? What version of yourself do you allow others to see? Because we as human beings cannot learn things from people who are perfect. We can only learn things from people who are imperfect. So where are you leading through your stories, through your slips, through your struggles, and yes, of course, also through your strengths? But you have hard-earned knowledge that can be a little less hard-earned by somebody else who will then have their own hard-earned path as well. But we can make it easier for individuals if we lead with our stories. If we lead a little bit more relatably, we can start to build more connections, more trust. People can start to say, hey, wait a minute, if that's what my leader struggled with, then maybe I'm not crazy because I'm kind of working through that too. Maybe this is a place where I'm allowed to work through some stuff. Yes, I need to fail fast because we got to keep it pushing and production needs to keep going. But at the same time, this is a place where more of me is allowed to show up. What version of yourself are you allowing your people to see? Being real is a really powerful leadership technique. Sometimes it's hard, though, because it requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is scary. A lot of times we equate vulnerability with weakness. But if vulnerability is such a weakness, then why is it so damn hard? Because let's be honest, it is easier to not ask for help than it is to ask for help. It is easier to avoid and compartmentalize than it is to own and confront. Vulnerability takes courage, and leaders are courageous. Vulnerability takes courage, and you are courageous when you need to be. Now, when I say vulnerability, some of you are like, okay, great, so we're meeting next week. I just need to stand up in front of everybody and be like, okay, everybody, hang on. I got something to say. All right, when I was 13, no. Don't be weird. Don't be weird, right? Not everybody deserves your story also, but we practice vulnerability in here, right? We talked about some food quirks, some weirds. We talked about some embarrassing stories. We did some internal vulnerability, right? What's a lie I tell myself? What version of myself do I allow others to see? That kind of work is powerful. That kind of work is powerful, and it's all vulnerable. Where are the places where you're allowing people to show up and bring more of themselves to work because you also model that? My name is James Taylor Robolata. I was named after my grandfather, James Taylor, who's not the singer, but we love the singer, so it works out. Right? When I was younger, my mom used to sing to me, "Rockabye, Sweet Baby James." Oh, okay, we'll work on it. But still, my grandfather is my hero. He was a World War II Marine in the Pacific Theater. Then he came back, joined the New York City Police Department, rose up the ranks of the NYPD until he was second in command. We have pictures of him around the house shaking hands with President Carter. My grandfather was there in the city for some of the most iconic moments, the Harlem riots, the subway fires. He helped bring down a famous serial killer of the time named Son of Sam. He was also there he was also there on the organized crime division in the 60s and 70s, right? Which was when you wanted to be on the organized crime division, right? Those are the movies we saw. My grandfather had seen some things, but I'm his youngest grandchild. So by the time I came around, I never saw him in uniform unless it was in a picture. He retired from the force when I was like 2 or something like that, right? So I just knew him as grandpa. I just knew him as a man who did the right thing. I just knew him as a man who was deeply devoted to his faith. Every year around Christmas time, he would go in his wood shop and make hundreds of mangers and donate them to his church so that they could raise some money for the parish, right? The church that he spent all his time in didn't have a van to pick people up who wanted to come. No, my grandpa's Dodge sedan was the van. And he would drive around and pick up anybody who wanted to practice their faith in the church that day. That's what he did. I just knew him as grandpa. I just knew him as a man who, when I walked out of the house, he'd come up behind me and put a couple bucks in my hand and say, "Here you go, James. Have a little walking around money." My grandpa's my hero. When I was 21, I got a phone call from my mom. I was down in college in North Carolina. And she said, "James, your grandpa died today." And friends, that rocked me. That rocked me for a couple of reasons. The first reason why it rocked me is because I'd never seen my mom that sad before. Her mom had passed away a few years before, and so this was her last remaining parent, and she had a beautiful relationship with her father, spent a lot of time with him, and I just never see mom so sad, and I didn't know how to be there more for her. I wanted to take away that grief, take away the sadness, and I didn't have a lot of data points in my life to go through that, and now I know maybe there's not much I could have done. She needed to go through whatever process she went through, but still, I just wish I could have done more for her. If you've experienced a loss that great before, I'm very sorry. It's a lot to carry. But I was also rocked because it was right around that time where I was like 20, 21, right? It was right around that time where I realized, oh shoot, people have stories. Right? Sometimes when you're young, you just keep your head down. You're arrogant. You keep it pushing, right? But at that point in time, I realized, oh, people have stories. I remember the moment that I realized this. I was going through a breakup with a woman that I thought I was going to marry. We were together for a year and a half. It was beautiful. She's a great human being. We're still friends today. I know you like a happy ending, so I thought I'd share that part. But still, right? But we went through this breakup, and I called my dad. I was pretty rocked by it. I called my dad. I was like, "Dad," I was like, is it always going to hurt this much? My dad listened to me blubber on for a while because he's a good man. And then he ended with, "You good, bro?" And then he kept going. He said, "James," he's like, "breakups suck." He's like, "They're hard, but I promise every single breakup that I've been through, James, it's always gotten better. It just takes a little bit of time. And honestly, the fact that you're hurting speaks to the validity of that relationship, right? That means it was special." And I sat there listening to my father. I said, "Hang on a second, Father. You have been touched by another?" Because at this point in my life, I just had never thought about it, right? I was like, oh, mom and dad probably met in preschool. They're holding hands on the blacktop during recess, right? Like, no, they grew up in different towns. They're college drinking buddies from Buffalo, New York. But they both grew up down on Long Island, right? No, they met drinking, right? Alcohol, beautiful. Thank you to those bars in between Duville and Canisius' campus in Buffalo. That's where they met. But no, my dad had stories. He had lived a life before my mom. He had been in relationships. And I was like, oh, shoot, Dad has stories. Wait a minute. Grandpa's got stories. But I missed it. I never got the opportunity to ask my grandfather, what was it like? World War II, you're a Marine, you're on a boat in the Pacific Ocean. What's going through your brain? I never got to ask him, what's it like being in a room with arguably some of the most powerful men in America, these mafia bosses in New York City? Like, what are you talking to them about? Like, oh, kind of hot today, huh? Yeah. I never got to ask my grandpa, what was my mom like as your daughter? I missed it. I wonder if you're missing it. There's a lot of stories in this room. Whose story are you going to ask to hear? Who's going to get to hear your story? There's a lot of story back at your plants. Whose story are you going to ask to hear? Even from the people that you think you know so well because you raised them. But sometimes assuming is way easier than learning. So what if we asked another question? That's how we can start to build these stronger teams, starting with this curiosity and letting it build into connection, into trust, into loyalty. There's power in this, but it takes you being a little vulnerable. It takes you also being able to share some of your story too. I'm going to end on a quote because that's what professional speakers are carefully trained to do. Before I do that, if you all are interested in staying in touch with me, I wrote a book called Leading Imperfectly. The title of this talk was called Leading Imperfectly. So if you like this talk, you will love the book. If you hated this talk, don't take a picture of this QR code. But still, if you want a free copy of it, take a picture of this, answer a couple of questions about how you thought this went, because I'm always trying to sharpen the axe. And you can download it for free. If you're sitting here like, James, I don't like free stuff. Cool flex, bro. Buy it on Amazon, okay? Do what you got to do. Let me end on this quote. I'm a big fan of the band Mumford & Sons. Many of you, when you saw me walk up here, thought to yourself, I bet this guy likes Mumford & Sons. And you were right. Mumford & Sons say this in one of their tracks. They say, in these bodies we will live, in these bodies we will die, but where you invest your love, you invest your life. Mumford & Sons say, in these bodies we will live, in these bodies we will die, but where you invest your love, you invest your life. Investing in your people looks like being present with them. Looks like assuming less, learning more, asking one more question. Being present with yourself also looks like doing some of the work. Where are you getting in your own way? And who can you lift up around you, empower around you to help build a stronger team despite your shortcomings? You don't have to figure it all out. That's why you have amazing folks around you. My friends, I really appreciate the time that I got to spend with you today. Thanks for letting me go on the tour this morning. It was incredible. I learned so much, and I kind of look like you ever put a big bratwurst in a hot dog bun? That's what I looked like in that vest today, my friends. So thanks for letting me have that experience too, and take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, a few reminders as you exit the ballroom today. The Associates Forum is right back here at 4 p.m. for all associate members. At 5 p.m., the exhibit hall will open in the Convention Center, where you can enjoy appetizers and a host bar, compliments of our platinum sponsors. This concludes today's luncheon. Thank you for coming, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.